Hello and welcome to episode, I guess it's 36 of the Extreme Hardware Podcast. Yeah, due to some scheduling issues, we missed a week, so here we are now.
It's 37, isn't it?
No, it's 36.
Did we miss a week, or did we get extras last week?
Our last episode was lined out 34. We mean 35. So.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't know if that means we're on 35 now.
No, we're on 36 now, Chris, for continuity.
Oh, okay.
Continuity.
You know what? Let's just skip both of them and say 37 so we're certain that we're...
Absolutely not. This is episode 36. I'm making this call here.
All right.
And this week, we are joined by the usual bunch. We've got Axifer, we've got Frick, we've got Alex, and we've got Chris and myself.
Yeah, I would just like to say Alex has some good news with regard to his finger.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's bad news.
Why is it bad news? Hang on.
Because it was almost fixed, and then you yeeted it against something, and now it's broken again.
Oh, yeah, no, I had
Alex
to go back
almost
2%. I had to go back 2% because my finger got sandwiched between two metal bars.
Oh my god!
Just for context, Alex was cutting a bagel and he put his finger in the stabilization hole and he lost like a liter of blood.
He nearly died for a bagel.
Hole.
Did you get real dizzy afterwards?
I can't remember.
Oh, you did, because you said it in... No,
That's a sign of a good, healthy, functioning brain.
God, yeah, I wish I had one of those.
Those brain cells grow back. You'll be fine. They'll be stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever, yes. I want to grow back bigger, better brain cells.
Bigger, better, hairier, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, hair.
So typically we try to arrange our articles in some sort of loose continuity order, but we're going to just start with this one specific topic because it is all of the hot news right now, specifically in regards to Epic versus Apple and now versus Google.
Oh yeah, this is cringe af, bro.
I stand with Fortnite. They are the little guy.
Actually, Chris, do you want to go ahead and fill us in on this one?
So long story short, it's just a pissing contest between a bunch of corporations. Epic is... I hesitate to say that they're in the right, but as far as like which corporation wins, I'm rooting for Epic because of knock-on effects for the industry as a whole. So basically, if you make a purchase on the App Store, even if Apple has no involvement whatsoever, let's say it's in-game microtransaction-y kind of currency, or like a subscription to streaming services or that kind of thing, Apple takes a cut of 30%. And that includes V-Bucks for Fortnite, even though, well, hey, you can buy V-Bucks elsewhere. So what Epic did was for iOS, for that version of the game, they cut V-Bucks prices by 30%, and they just directed users to go to their website to buy them, which means Epic got exactly as much money, actually probably more because people bought more V-Bucks, and the users spent less money to get the same thing. Apple didn't like this, so they yoinked it from the App Store. They did this on Android as well, I believe, to protest Google's practice. Google yoinked it as well from the Play Store. And now they're in a pissing contest. Originally, I was kind of rooting for Epic to win, but now I kind of secretly hope that they lose because they made a cringe-af advertisement. #free Fortnite.
Yikes.
Which we have to know
Apple's famous 1984 ad about how, buy a Mac, so the Apple Macintosh. So 1984 isn't like the book 1984, which is that thing that people go to when they want to talk about totalitarianism but have no original ideas. So they made that ad, and then Epic did a Fortnite parody and tried to get a bunch of stupid teenagers to get on their side.
Teenagers is quite old, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, officially they're supposed to be if they aren't filling out COPPA forms, but anyway. So cringe af ad, and I hope Apple just trounces them out. Whatever.
So one thing I want to note about that ad, if I remember correctly, this was a very well-blown, well-produced, well, in air quotes, video that they posted not even an hour after they were cut from the App Store, which tells me that they knew this was coming and they had this produced and just waiting.
Oh, absolutely.
They take care of
they did.
It sort of makes them look like hypocrites, though, because the whole thing was them protesting against, like, oh, we want a more open payment system or we want a more open system. But you notice they didn't do anything with the consoles, which are the most closed systems out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm actually curious about the Google one because I know, according to Apple's terms of service, Epic was in pure violation, but originally they weren't on Google's. So that's why
it probably is the same deal with Google. I think like legally, if I'm going to armchair lawyer this, I think the only one where they really have a chance of proving like anti-competitive stuff reasonably is Apple, because the App Store is the only way to get apps onto an iPhone or other iOS device. Google, you can sideload APKs. It's easy. And I mean, that's also why, like, you know, this isn't really comparable to, but Epic Game Store takes a cut from PC games. Like, yeah, they do. Also, if you're a game developer on Windows, you can just set up a website and take people's money and give them an executable file that they can install. Like, Epic doesn't have them.
Called God.com and itch.io.
Yeah.
Out of interest, though, so they're taking a percentage cut for people downloading or paying for V-Bucks or whatever. The PC versions of them, they don't. So, like Steam, EA, whatever, Uplay, whatever.
If you buy it through the respective store, I assume that they do. Although, is Fortnite even on like any of those platforms?
Well,
No, it's not.
It's probably one of those things where if it is available through other platforms, it just sends you this executable, which forces you to install it through the Epic launcher.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's also the alternative of that's not going to be as heavily policed. Like that kind of payment system isn't going to be policed as much as Apple. So
yeah,
even if you like launch it through Steam or something, you can probably set up a payment system so Valve doesn't get anything.
Well, and that's what it comes down to, right? Is like, so a lot of these games do have, or that are heavily laden with microtransactions that are on the Steam consoles. They're through their microtransaction management and payment system is managed through the publisher rather than Steam itself, versus this case where it becomes that gray area where Apple and Google want you to utilize the Apple platform and the Google platform for the microtransaction management just for unified environment, but Epic is big enough that they can afford to do their own. So they were trying to bypass.
Yeah, well, here's the interesting thing about what's going on with specifically Google is, and they revealed that they were trying to get a deal with OnePlus to have the Epic Store already pre-installed on their phones, but Google ended up blocking it. They wouldn't let them do it. And then that sort of led to everybody finding out, like, oh, by the way, Google negotiates anyone with any manufacturer to have Android on their phones and to pre-install other Google apps like the Play Store and YouTube and stuff. But the fact that they blocked Epic from that OnePlus deal might be like, oh, that's not good. We need to do something about that. And that is sort of bogus.
Well, see, but I'm curious as to like on the Google side is if they could really police that, because when you have something like, you know, like Oxygen OS or any of those stripped down Android operating systems where you can just sideload your own APKs and somebody gets a Epic Store APK and they just install it that way. I mean, they can't really do a whole lot about it, can they?
I mean, also, what are they even policing there in the first place?
The fact that the microtransactions are not going through the pre-installed Play Store or App Store.
Basically, I guess the TLDR out of this is software is just rent-seeking now, and everybody wants a cut on stuff that they didn't even make in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I was talking with a couple buddies, I think just last night about this, and I was like, you know, before I even realized that Google was involved with this, you know, this really comes down to the precedence of, you know, or how the microtransactions are actually being managed on a per app basis. And then it also comes into the mega corporation versus mega corporation thing. Now, to
be clear, this is a corporate pissing contest. Like there are no morals here. As much as Epic wants to frame it as like this David and Goliath, good versus evil kind of battle, it's not. No, it's a billionaire who thinks that he's entitled to have his app on an operating system, which honestly he should be, just because of, you know, I don't want one company having a monopoly on software, but whatever.
So, exactly. If you want to get into the whole David and Goliath battle, Epic is worth like $5 billion and Apple is worth $1 trillion. So it is kind of
$5 billion buys you a lot of lawyers, my dude.
That's true.
And that's what it just comes down to, right? This is just going to be a battle of who has the best and most lawyers fighting this in the end. But from eliminating the personal opinions on the two companies, because I think they're both garbage in the first place. I think this is more of a technical versus a conceptual issue here, because
right. Just to make this very clear, remember, kids, corporations aren't your friends, and they will literally kill you for $20.
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting at. So from the technical perspective, I think Epic is in the right here, because if they have the infrastructure to be able to do their own payment and transaction handling, then what's stopping them from doing so? And if it is handled through an entirely separate entity, then I also do not believe that Apple or Google really has much of a say in how that money flows. That being said, I feel like this opens up a really big can of worms, because if Epic wins this battle, then it sets a precedence with both Apple and Google. It's like, okay, well, then we're just not going to deal with microtransactions at all, and everybody else is screwed in this regard, unless
I think what would happen would be putting aside microtransaction. Well, I see what you mean. They have to set up like third-party payment processor. I don't think they would do that.
Right. So
that would just lose some money.
But it also, I don't know. It's this really bizarrely complicated situation, because it all comes down to the fact that these corporations are looking out for the interest of themselves. And
corporations be like that, my dude.
Exactly. They have no desire to set a technological precedence that is actually good for moving forward. And just with this situation, it's like, it's my way or it's the other way, and that's it.
I think it's also worth noting there that there's definitely very real, anti-monopoly kind of things that can be done here, even outside of this. Because, for example, Apple has blocked game streaming apps from the App Store. Their logic is that, we can't review every app on the App Store, and we want to keep our users safe. And no, that's a lie. I do not believe that for a minute. So they've blocked things like remote desktop apps. They've blocked things like Microsoft and Nvidia's game streaming services. They've blocked lots of things like that, but they haven't blocked Apple Arcade. So there's a very real thing. It's worth pointing out, and I use this example, although it was pointed out to me that this was reversed in an appeals court, but I still think it kind of applies still. Microsoft was sued and lost for bundling Internet Explorer with Windows. Just bundling it. They didn't block anybody from installing Netscape. They just packaged their own thing, and they got sued over it and lost. So what Apple and Google, well, mainly Apple, have done goes far beyond that, to a ridiculous degree.
Sure. Admittedly, I would say that Epic is technically in the right here, but I also don't like the precedence of what would happen if they were to win.
Tim Sweeney's kind of a douche.
I'm trying to eliminate any personal bias of corporate owners in this situation. I just what is the precedence if Epic does win this battle, and then we obviously know what the precedence would be when Apple wins, and I feel like that is. Epic winning is the lesser of two evils in this situation. I mean, and I'm even ruling out Google here because they're kind of like the third party that's just deciding.
Why would Apple winning be the lesser of two evils? So because that just
no. Epic winning would be.
Okay, yeah.
No, because quite frankly, I do not agree with how Apple manages the microtransactions. Because quite frankly, if Corporation X is managing and paying for their own transaction system and it works decently well, then that's more money for the app developers and publishers. So
how much? Isn't, because I know their most profitable sector is their mobile market, but how much money in terms of tiering, right? Tier list. Do you think their mobile transactions, like their micropayments and stuff like that, is the second most profitable, third most profitable, or do you think it's way at the bottom?
Do you mean Epic or do you mean Apple and the App Store?
Apple.
Excessively high, dude. In-app purchases, in-app purchases are where Apple gets the bulk of their money from the App Store these days, I believe, because you don't really see that many paid apps anymore. Mostly it is you get a free trial or you get an ad-enabled version. Like you just don't get paid apps anymore. I need to write my think piece at some point about like why I think apps are worthless. But yeah, it's mostly in-app purchases that are getting them money, and frankly, I hesitate to say for good reason. But given the state of apps, which is, I just don't think they're valuable. Like, there's no quality control there. There's no guarantee you can use it in a month or a year. It's a mess.
I mean, I was going to say, a perfect example, and I know Alex may have some insight on this, just being a fellow weeb here, but Japanese gacha games, like I'm looking it up, and I think back in like 2016, these gacha games earned like this Bloomberg's reporting 300 billion yen worth of revenue just from gacha game revenue, and then it's lower as like reported as of 2019, where it was at 233 billion yen, but still that is an excessive amount of money solely based on microtransactions.
Okay, so hey Simmons, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just found Apple's quarterly reports for the last 2020. And it lists their most profitable being 26 million from the iPhone, the Mac being 7 million, iPad 6 million, wearables 6 million, and services, which I'm assuming is microtransactions, at 13 million.
I'm assuming that is million in thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it says in millions, except numbers of shares, which are reflected in thousands per share amounts. I don't know what the hell that means.
I don't care to interpret that, but yeah, no, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's like it's an acceptable.
So it's second. It looks like it's their second most profitable section,
and that's what it comes down to, right? Is like I feel like Apple is going to use the argument, well, you're using our platform here, so we demand a cut as a fee for you utilizing our platform. But I don't know, from a technological perspective, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if all the
it's just rent seeking, because at that point, Apple's not really providing any value to the platform. Like, this is just going to break things in the end, because like, oh, we demand a tribute, you're using our software. It's like, no, that you're going to shoot yourself in the foot at some point. The only reason you can do this is because you have such a big market share, and if you end up getting monopoly, then well, ideally the government's going to step in and do something about that. I hesitate to say that they will, but you know, we can hope. So yeah, no, it's not good, because ultimately it comes down to Apple is demanding money for things that they aren't creating. It is effectively a tax, except in an ideal world, the government provides services. Apple, not so much. Like, yeah, imagine you're a business owner and you rent a store in a mall, and the mall demands rent from you. Okay, fair enough, but also they demand a percentage of your sales. And well, you don't like that, so you tell them, hey, we set up our store across the street, we own this property, so nobody can tell us to pay them tribute. And you point them to there, and they shut down your store in the mall and burn all your marketing because, well, can't have that.
So here's
that's a bad analogy. Digital stuff just doesn't really correspond but so well to real life things, but
Tim Sweeney said a statement yesterday. He sent two statements, and he said, at the most basic level, we're fighting for the freedom of people who bought smartphones to install apps from sources of their choosing. Freedom for creators of apps to distribute them as they choose, and the freedom of both groups to do business directly. The primary opposing argument is smartphone makers can do whatever they want. This is an awful notion. We all have rights, and we need to fight to defend our rights against whoever would deny them, even if that means fighting a beloved company like Apple.
Yeah, that's what I mean about how he's trying to frame this as a moral argument. It's really not.
It's not. It's really not, because the issue here comes with the situation, because Epic being the mega corporation they are, they have all sorts of money and income to be able to do what they want in terms of backend infrastructure. And I don't know. Like, I guess if other companies wanted to essentially be like different like app publishers where they're offering like a microtransaction processing system, if Epic wins, that gives these companies an opportunity to do that kind of thing freely. But I mean, like, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. I want Epic to win, not because that means the good corporation wins the hard fought battle, but because there are knock-on effects in the rest of the industry, and I believe that they would be most positive if Epic won rather than Apple.
Correct.
Epic is only the slightly. Epic is only the slightly worse corporation. Earlier, Simmons said they dropped the V-Bucks price by 30% because that's what the
that was me.
The App Store and Google Play was charging. They didn't. They only dropped it 20%.
I mean, well, regardless, that is still
it's still cheaper, but it just shows that they're not the good company.
To both Epic and the player, because they earn more monies and the player earns less money because Apple is being a landlord here, and that means they're being a leech.
Yep.
I can say that it's okay because that's what Adam Smith said.
The Google one is just stupid. Just release it as a separate file that you can just install. The Apple one makes sense because the only place without jailbreaking that you can get apps is the App Store.
Right.
And
even then,
Mommy's not going to jailbreak her phone so that you can get.
Is that even a thing now with current iOS?
Yeah, it is.
Jailbreaking? Oh yeah, it's still a thing.
I don't know if it's on iOS 13 yet,
hardware
but
flaws to exploit.
Yeah, you can.
So yeah,
I should have more podcast juice.
Yeah, go for it. I think we've definitely beat this dead horse enough. Sorry, Frick.
Beat off this dead horse.
But yeah, needless to say, I think we'll probably cover this more after like the actual lawsuit actually starts seeing like court time and crap like that. So look forward to hearing us rant more in the future. Yay!
It's going to be a spicy meatball.
Yeah. So moving on to the next article. So this is what we were originally going to start with, but here we go. So there was about. According to Ars Technica, over 20 gigabytes of Intel source code and proprietary data dumped online.
Keep in mind that a lot of this was some training videos, and videos are a hell of a lot bigger than source code, but yes.
Sure.
So somebody, I believe they were based out of Sweden, decided that they would just... I'm not quite sure what they did. I think they were just like unsecured servers.
No, that wasn't. Right now, the current running story is Intel claims that the data was sourced from one of the development partners who has access to a data center, and then this guy just somehow exfiltrated the data and just dumped it on the internet.
I don't think that's entirely accurate because they managed to acquire like SpaceX camera code or something like that.
Oh, fun! But. So the higher level information that is fun is there is confidential and something called, quote, Intel secret.
So tell us what you think about corporations having security clearances. How dorky is this?
No comment. Most of the information includes stuff related to the various lake architectures going back to, I believe, 2015, including block diagrams and just other, how is these chipsets working and how are these CPUs working and stuff along those lines.
Yeah, I kind of want to take a look at it, but I recognize that it's a very bad idea. I'm actually really disappointed at all of the media coverage, though, because like as soon as this got posted, a bunch of articles popped up like, whoa, look at this Intel leak. According to our sources and the person who leaked it, this has X, Y, and Z in it. Also, we're not going to download it or touch it or anything. It's like, it's a leak. It's enthusiast and industry press. This is like the one time to do real journalism, and you're not even going to take a look.
So Chris, I'm going to interrupt you for a lot of rant here because I want to actually talk about what are some of these higher level items in here. But various source codes, debugging tools, testing tools, user guides, programming guides, and more. One of the big ones that came out of this was the Mobile Platform 5Q roadmap, which includes Tiger Lake UP3 and UP4 chips, including an outline of many processors that will be coming to market soon, including Xeons and mobile processors.
Yeah.
The ones that they're specifically referring to are Comet Lake H and Comet Lake U. Comet Lake H will have 2 Xeon models, blah, blah, blah. These Tiger Lake processors will have a maximum of 4 cores, Thunderbolt, PCI Express 4, 802.11x AX Wi-Fi, and LPDDR4X and LPDDR5 support.
Yeah, I think this is all information that, well, the Tiger Lake information was officially revealed a couple days ago, at the very least.
Sure, but like the leak happened before the official announcement, so that's always fun.
But
So if you're like Mr. AMD, what can you do with this information, if anything?
Not a whole lot. If you're looking for people who like actually have a use for it, InfoSec researchers, they're like source code. That shit's gold. Like if you're looking for hardware flaws or ways to exploit like management engine type things, yeah, that's incredibly valuable. Also very dangerous, but yeah, whatever. It's out there. Like you have to account for this now that it's out there. So,
So if you thought Intel had a lot of leak bugs before, you're going to see a lot more in the future, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well,
not
I don't necessarily, because I think what this exposed was just Intel not necessarily policing how this information is handled. So I feel like a lot of this information is going to be very heavily locked down, especially as new information comes out, and they're going to have to reevaluate their InfoSec policies as well as their just general user policing policies.
Also, it's worth pointing out, because this is very funny, a lot of this information was in zip folders because, well, yeah, that makes sense. Saves disk space. And the person who pointed out, who got the leak, they said that the passwords were Intel 123 for most of them.
Yes.
And clarified that, no, I didn't make these. They were just like this, which is very funny. Oh, right. Yeah. I'm assuming that the leaker is just some flavor of anarchist, because they also hacked some like European patent office thing and published a lot of documents.
But hang on, is this from Europe? Because we do know someone who works at Intel. He won't say he does, but it's very obvious he does, and he hasn't been anywhere online for a very long time. So it probably is him. And I'm just making this up.
No, it's not the same person.
No, yeah, it won't be. I just think it's funny.
It is funny, but it's not. It's not him.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it was lolsec.
But
it was the Lizard Squad.
But
yeah, lizards.
Just me and my interest in this. I think my favorite one was I posted an image that's now just like publicly available on hundreds of sites. Is the Tiger Lake UP3 block diagram, and the Tiger Lake UP4 block diagram is also out there. But not as commonly available. So I'm not gonna
honestly, this doesn't even look all that spicy. This is it's got dual channel memory, it's got a bunch of ports built in. Like, who cares? Whatever.
I like looking at the fun.
I guess Thunderbolt off the CPU is cool.
But yeah, just lots of juicy data. Unfortunately, our editor is not here today, and he had some information that he wanted to share about this. But
oh god, yeah, Jack. So I posted on Twitter that, like, you know, look, it's out there. Might as well do something with it. Everybody was telling me, no, if you want a career in the industry, you can't touch this with a 10-foot pole. And it's like, number one, who cares? It's leaked IP. Okay, well, why is intellectual property a thing in the first place? I have opinions on that as a concept. But, like, it's just stuff like, you know, this disrespects the engineers and what, like no,
not really. Because quite frankly, I feel like the engineers would be okay with this information getting out there. Let's be real.
Yeah, like it.
I mean,
how do I put it? I'm trying to think. Jack said he wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, which is understandable. I actually did check the leak. There was just a link to Mega Upload. And yeah, no, like I checked 6 hours after the fact, just like clicked it to see if it was there. No, all this stuff was still there. Like it has been mirrored online dozens, hundreds of times even.
So you can find it on
this
Clear
is out here. This is not going away. And for security stuff, that's valuable. That's also dangerous, but you can only rely on obscurity so much in your security solution, right? Like,
I mean, that was how Heartbleed came to light, was just because of undisclosed information from the various processor manufacturers, and then some people started just manually diving into the micro.
Really? Heartbleed? I thought Heartbleed was
No. What was the big one for processors? What was it? It
Spectre?
was Spectre. Thank you. Yeah.
Intel
The guy basically just made a macro script that tried to arbitrarily execute every single piece of microcode, even the undocumented ones.
Yeah. Just like every valid x86 instruction, like I guess ARM as well at some point. Like, yep, here we go. This will do a thing. And we accidentally found a side channel attack.
Yeah,
I just can't wait for the Curbs on Security and Zero Hedge articles that are sure to come out.
Well, Zero Hedge, yeah, I respect them.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The what is it? Chaotic, or it's like the lawful neutral side of me is like the fact of the matter is if you're utilizing the same architecture over and over and over again, and you're still exposing the same vulnerabilities over and over and over again, and somebody gets a hold of this and it just starts abusing the crap out of it before it's made publicly available, this is just worse for the industry as a whole. And look at what happened after Spectre. Yes, a lot of CPU slowed down, but now these manufacturers are actually doing something about their.
Yeah, it's like I hesitate to say that, they were in the right to leak this. However, they did. There are consequences, and the industry doesn't need to be like, oh, you can't look at this. This is like, what's a word for something that's forbidden? I don't know. This is like the sacred cow of technology or something. Like,
no.
I'm inebriated enough that I don't know what words are anymore.
The point still stands.
Yeah.
I mean, for those that want more information, all this was made public by a guy named Till Cotman, and he says that he got it from an anonymous hacker who claimed to have breached Intel this year. So here's the thing. I mean, I know Intel, they encourage a lot of people with bounty bugs, like bounty bug programs, like, hey, if you find an exploit, tell us and we'll pay you like 20 grand or something like that. But I mean, really, it lays with Till, which is an interesting name, but it lays with Till. Odds are, if he hadn't leaked it, maybe the group that unlocked it in the first place would have leaked it anyway. So I don't think it matters who leaked it. I think it just matters that eventually, at some point, these were going to rear its head. It just so happens they're all rearing their heads at the exact same time.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much I can say about like, oh, wow, oh, no, illegal leaks. This was on a public-facing, unsecure server. I hesitate to call that hacking.
Well, see, and once again, I want to say it has not been confirmed that was the case. A breach just means the information was compromised and now it's out there. So that's why I think the theory that somebody who had access
usually it's unsecure public
third-party site just put it onto a USB drive one day and took it home, or something else. Like, I think it's more likely that a third-party like research whatever you want to call it, maybe was just not as secure in terms of internal management. The guy would just have the ability to take all these files and just dump it on the internet, like unsecure server, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that's just the go-to, where people don't realize that if you have physical access to data, it's more likely to get compromised. Imagine.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like, I was talking to Axie yesterday because I've been messing with my server and trying to figure out archives and whatnot. Like, I told Axie yesterday that I had just printed out the public key for my server, the private key for like some of my SSH things on my server, just because, well, if somebody has broken into my house and somebody has access to that public key that has been printed on a piece of paper, they have access to my server and my unencrypted hard drives.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. But so anyway, yeah, if you do not really have any ties to the tech sector, definitely give the information a look because some of it's really fascinating. I will not be just due to my job and Chris.
Oh God, yeah, Simmons doing that would be a very bad idea.
I am just surprised that Mega Upload still exists.
Wait, did you check the link? Is it still up?
Mega Upload's still up. Yeah.
Well, but that's is like
all of the documents. Seriously?
Oh no! I'm just saying. Oh no! I'm just surprised Mega Upload itself. Is still
the website in general. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Screw it. Let's check the link. I am curious if that got taken down though.
I mean, I'm sure you could find it on some torrent site. It wouldn't be hard.
Yeah. Like,
Twitter deleted their account.
And sorry,
Jack, censor that one out. We can't waste it on that.
Yeah, that one's going away. All right, but yeah, I think we can move on from this one, but because we have another security-related article to talk about Snapdragon flaws. So this one specifically is related into Qualcomm's Snapdragon chips, which apparently have over 400 vulnerabilities associated with the chip. Does anybody know anything about this? If not, I'll briefly read through
400 vulnerabilities. Oh boy. Downloads the video rendered by the chip. Oh, is this going to be in like the hardware acceleration thing? Digital signal processor? Oh, yeah, it's probably going to be hardware
related to the DSP chips. It says, while DSP chips provide relatively economical solution that allows mobile phones to provide end users with more functionality and enable innovative features, they do come with a cost. Thank you for that useful quote from Checkpoint.
We should try reading these in advance.
It's a DSP vulnerability. What is the DSP? Is that like just a
digital signal processor?
Yeah. Okay, so the DSP tackles a variety of tasks, including charging abilities, phone or video, audio, and augmented reality, as well as other multimedia functions. The vulnerabilities can be exploited when a target downloads a video or other content that is rendered by the chip. Targets can be attacked by installing malicious apps that do exactly the same thing with no permissions. From there, attackers can monitor locations, listen to nearby audio in real time, exfiltrate photos and videos. Exploits made it possible to render the phone completely unresponsive.
Yeah,
can be hidden by the operating system in a way that makes disinfecting difficult. Well, go figure. So, yeah. Interesting. Now, according to this article, Checkpoint has not disclosed the specific chips and the specific exploits that are out there, but the fact that Checkpoint has access to this information means that they're already working with Qualcomm here to remediate it. So I imagine that I don't know. Does Apple doesn't use Snapdragon, do they?
Apple has used in-house chips since like the A4, I think. Even then, they never use Qualcomm anything.
So Android phones will probably be patched over the next 6 months, knowing how they roll out. I expect manufacturers like OnePlus.
Android phones made within the last 2 years, you mean?
Sure. What I'm saying is, I feel like manufacturers like OnePlus or the smaller, more community-favored manufacturers will be patching it within the next few weeks, if not month, and then manufacturers like Samsung and LG will be patching them by probably Q1 2021, just knowing how long it takes for them to push patches.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fun.
You should get a good phone like an iPhone so you won't have these problems.
No.
Yeah, you should buy a Mac as well. I got one. It's better than Windows.
Yeah,
how much work
You can take it in the shower.
I'd rather burn $2,400.
The amount of money
how
that I
much you pay
spent
for that
on
Mac, Andrews?
it's irrelevant.
Wow, Simmons, $2,400. That's almost enough to get you 2 more Honda Civics.
No, just one.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. They're still that valuable? High roller, dude.
Okay, so if my car was in mint condition, it's worth $2,500. And
mint condition, yeah, dude.
Your car's not in mint condition. How many times have you taken the door off?
Right, that's irrelevant. But in its current condition, my car's worth $1,900.
That's almost enough for 1/7 of a Ferrari spoiler.
Well, Simmons, maybe if you had a Corolla, you could buy two.
Well, there's a reason why they're not valued as high. Anyway,
If you had a Corolla, you could replace the door just like Chris did.
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I replaced the door because my neighbor is a Karen.
I was going to say, keep in mind
What?
defect,
Wait.
defect
Hang on.
that Andrew is specifically talking about with my car was corrected in the 98 through 2000 version of the Civic. So,
Wow, Simmons, it's too bad your Civic is 2 years too old to get the fix from 1998.
Hang on, Simmons, hang on.
imagine how that works, Chris.
I don't know if you're too familiar with the world of Magic the Gathering cards, but having a misprint or a defect makes it worth a hell of a lot more. So maybe
But
that's
he's
the
got a
case for your car.
Civic. It's not.
I was going to say one of these defects could potentially like affect your life, and the other one it could only affect your livelihood. So there's a difference.
If Simmons goes
I
around
want
the
to
corner
get a
too
Honda
fast, the
Civic
door
that'll
falls
kill
off.
me.
Well, and okay. I have to provide context since I'm getting digged here. No, the defect was just for whatever reason in that edition of my car, which is a '96 Civic. In the driver's side door, they had a harness that connected the door to the chassis. So the idea was on the assembly line, all you had to do was assemble all the electronics inside the door and then just plug the door into the rest of the car. However, the pins, which were just oversized Molex pins, probably just a standard.
No, they're definitely Molex brand.
Yeah, the plastic harness that housed all the pins deteriorated over time, and it was estimated around the 150,000 mile mark or the 10-year mark that the harness would start just deteriorating, and then opening and closing the door just excessively over the years would weaken the harness. And I had to repin that thing twice until the actual plug itself started falling apart. So then I just hardwired it.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah, when you get your Civic Type R, you'll actually have a nice car.
Yeah,
Simmons,
imagine.
Ask me how many times I've taken the door off my 1995 Lexus.
When was the last time you were able to drive your 95 Lexus?
That's irrelevant. The doors aren't broken.
Okay, so anyway, let's move on to some more PC hardware. This one's just a quick announcement.
Hey, let me tell you about the brand new Intel 486. It's newer than Simmons's car.
Haha, yes. So GeForce 3000 series, according to a leak, will be launching in September. Why am I not surprised? That's when the 700 series was launched.
Yeah, that's when Nvidia launches a lot of their stuff. It's in fall.
But the confirmed GPUs or specific chips are the PG132, PG142, PG190, and the PG132 is obviously what will be utilized in the RTX 3080 Ti.
Simmons, you big dork. Those are the circuit boards.
I said the chips.
Yeah, you did. Chips are just going to be like GA102, GA104. I'm not actually sure what the status of GA103 is. That was supposed to be like a mid-tier between 102 and 104. I don't know. They're probably just salvaging 102 at this point.
Yeah.
So two things. Number one, Micron accidentally leaked that the 3090 will exist. There is going to be a tier above the 80 Ti. It's going to be the 90 tier again, but unlike, the 690 and earlier, it's not going to be a dual GPU. That exists, and it is using GDDR6X. I don't believe that GDDR6X is an official JEDEC standard. What it appears to be anyway, is GDDR6, the regular stuff, except it's using PAM4 signaling. That is used by, I think it's going to be required for PCI Express 6 and maybe 5. It is used right now in like 200 gigabit Ethernet and faster. But what it is instead of having a signal with 2 states, high and low, you have a signal with 4 states. Therefore, each clock cycle, instead of representing 2 bits, instead of representing 1 bit or 2 states, represents 2 bits in 4 states.
Nice.
So with the same amount of clock cycles, you can double the bandwidth. The problem is It's not quite that simple. It's a more complex signal. You have to be able to decode it, etc. But either way, it is going to be a 21 gigabit per second signal with the highly likely 384-bit bus. That is, give me a moment, 1008 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. That is enough to fill my boot drive in slightly less than 1 second. It's a lot. The other thing is, Nvidia better friggin' double the VRAM for once, because Turing had the same amount of VRAM as Pascal, right? So like the 256-bit card still had 8 gigs, the 384-bit card still had 12 gigs, the like 128-bit card still had 4 gigs, etc. They didn't double it for Turing, and some of the rumors are suggesting that they're not doing it across the board for Ampere as well. So I'm slightly pissed.
So according to this article, the 2070 replacement, so it would probably be the 3070 in this regards.
Wow,
will evidently come with a 16 gig and an 8 gig variant.
If they come in 2 variants, I'm okay with that, but they better at least have the option.
Yeah, I agree. Or
Slightly annoyed that it's not standard, but if they have
what they end up doing is like the 30. I'm just making up a name for this since it's replacing the 2070 Super. But the 3070 Ti will probably be the 16 gig, and the 3070 would be the 8 gig.
Please God no, because like Nvidia has. I think they really stopped with the 700 series, but you could get like 4 gigabyte 680s and 2 gigabyte 680s. You could get 2 and 4 gigabyte 670s. You could get 2 and 3 gigabyte 660 Ti's. That's a fun one. Don't get me started on that. But you could get like different memory capacities, and they only really stopped recently. I guess the Titan for a time was supposed to be the only doubled VRAM chip. That's kind of accurate, but not really.
Sure.
Actually, I think the 3090 is supposed to replace the Titan for gamers, because if you remember, the Titan V dropped the GeForce branding altogether and was revealed at an AI research conference rather than like E3 or something like that. And it dropped the GeForce branding. So I have to assume that this is going to be the Titan as gamers knew it.
Right.
I mean, it's now, a new NVIDIA product stack. We kind of know what to expect.
Here's the one part of this article that I don't know if I necessarily think is accurate, but according to this, they're claiming that the 3080 Ti will be launching at the same time as the 3080. I don't foresee that, just from track record. If it does happen, neat.
They'll save the 102 chip until later. It depends on how fast the 104 chip is. Like if GA 104 just trounces TU 102, I think we'll go back to normal, where they launch a Ti and the I guess the 3090 as well later on. But we'll see.
What are we looking at price point for these things?
No
same
announcement.
as last gen or more expensive. Actually, it's going to be the same as last gen and even more expensive if you want the double VRAM versions.
So far for the course.
I'm expecting it to be equivalent pricing to where the 20 series launched, and then they're just going to drop the prices of the 20 series.
I mean, keep in mind,
dude, this is like the best thing for me ever, because the second these things get announced, the first thing I do is go on eBay and start buying everyone's panic sold 2070s.
Rick, aren't you still using an 8800 GTX?
No, I've got a 2070 now.
You have a 2070. You're still running that broken ass copy of Windows 7.
No, I've got an 8700K and a 2070.
And you're still running that broken ass copy of Windows 7.
It works.
Okay, 2500K and 8800 Ultra. I gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so needless to say, I'm hoping that Nvidia does do what they've done before, where they allow people to talk or like do the pre-release reviews about a week prior, so people start.
That's funny, Simmons. If they do the pre-release reviews, some people might not pre-order the cards because.
Well, no. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like from last generation, what they did, they allowed reviewers to say, "Here's the card," and disassemble the card on camera, but they weren't allowed to.
Oh God, yeah, that nonsense. Yeah. No, that's stupid. It's because corporations think that Enthusiast Press is just an unpaid extension of their marketing arm.
No, and honestly, I do not agree with the marketing ploy by making them do that, because it's like, hey, look at this new thing. Let's hype it up a week before so people start doing their pre-orders. No, I want this to happen so the idiots start fire selling their GPUs, only for them to be disappointed with the 30 series.
That's what I want. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
There was a couple of instances when I think right now, what's the best value right now? A used 1080 isn't that like the best value. A used 1080 is like the best value card you can get right now.
Value's relative, so don't get me started on that, but it's relative.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the best, a good deal right now is a 1080 used TI, right?
Folder.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think they're selling for the price that I bought mine for yet, but there's still you can still probably get a 1080 for like around $225 to $250 secondhand, and then probably a 1080 Ti in the $250 to $350 range. So,
yeah, I was going to buy a 1080 Ti instead of my 2070. Before I had the money for it, 1080 Ti's were selling for like, I think $350, and then when I did get the money, they jumped up like used price like $800.
Oh my god!
Yeah, well, and then I also have to factor in that you are dealing with like Europe and UK eBay versus American eBay. So
I love that VAT. Wait, is there VAT on eBay purchases in the UK, or is that only
no? It's only for brand new things on eBay.
Okay,
right.
All right, so that's actually not a bad deal then.
Yeah, we have to pay sales tax on used stuff as well.
Yeah.
I bought things at Goodwill and they have sales tax. That's actually very annoying.
Oh,
The sales tax only applies to brand new things here.
no, we have to pay sales tax on secondhand cars that have already had their sales tax paid.
That's moronic.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, damn government!
No, dude, there's a law in the U.S. of something called an inheritance tax, where you have to do if I have $5 million and I leave it to my kids, even though that $5 million has already had tax paid on it, there's an inheritance tax on it, and I have to pay tax again if I will it over to
I
somebody.
know, but like,
they got that here as well.
Other things.
yeah, but with cars, it's just because it's not like a small thing. Like,
Oh,
you
can't say the R word on the podcast, buddy.
Oh.
Jack, edit that out.
Yeah.
If it's at Goodwill, right? It's not that expensive, but like buying a car like $30,000 that has had the sales tax already paid on it, and then having to pay another like $3,000 or $4,000 sales tax. It's just insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's ridiculous.
It's based on wealth transfer, not wealth owned. So whatever.
Chris is very R word.
Wow. All right, so I'm gonna go through
Alex,
this
I'm going
article.
to kill you in real life.
Chris, shut
No,
up.
it's very
I know where you
ridiculous.
live.
Guys, shut up. No, we're moving on to the next article because and I'm gonna go through this one quick because I know half of you don't care about Android phones, so this one's for Frick.
Yeah, because we actually have good.
Android, yeah, I have a good phone.
Okay,
Mine.
so
You know, Chris says that about iPhones that you're really wrong.
real quick.
Even Chris's
This
ancient
article
phone is better than yours, Simmons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
it is.
success is better than whatever you
Guys,
have.
shut up.
No.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I'm talking about a new phone.
All right, next article: accelerating standard.
No, Chris. Chris. You're making more work for the editor.
All right, I'm gonna get a refill on Cheez-Its. I'll be back.
Okay.
Simmons, you should spend your Civic Type R money on a Mac Pro.
No.
Yeah. Also, Cheez-Its just sound like cheese-zits.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I don't know if you've ever been to reddit.com/or
is going to
but there's
be
a lot of them
announced
like
on
that.
September 10th. This is interesting for Frick Frock alone because this is a $400 phone.
Oh, Mark would be interested in this.
Yes.
Actually, no, he wouldn't because $400 is too much for him.
Oh,
He
right.
doesn't want to spend more than $100 on a phone.
So quickly, the specs are 5.8-inch AMOLED 2340 by 1080 screen, 6 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, 128 gig base storage, no expandable storage. I don't care about the cameras, rear capacitive fingerprint sensor, dual speakers, USB Type-C charging ports, and it is a, let's see, and a 3140 milliamp hour battery with a headphone jack.
Wow, 31 milliamps. So welcome to 2012.
Yeah, right. I mean, for $400, I think the specs are fine. It's a Google Pixel, so like the operating system is not bloated to all hell. So
I used to really
more
like I love the
Google,
Google
not
Pixel line for a
iPhone.
while, but the whole appeal of them was that like they were reasonably priced phones that were vanilla Android and always got updates first. Now it's like I think they're really a lot more expensive than they used to be when the line started. And I mean, they're feature-wise, they're fine, but the whole appeal of them was the price, and I don't really see the appeal now.
Well, so I think for $400 with the given specs, it makes. I mean, this is a really solid phone. I
They're
think
trying to compete with the iPhone SE.
my biggest
Worry
pet
about
peeve
updates.
about this phone though is the punch hole camera, which I think is stupid, and I don't like that the Google Pixel now doesn't have an expandable SD card slot. I really enjoy that. So that's kind of frustrating. But aside from that, this article is complaining about the fact of a wide angle camera, and I say, who cares? Because
God.
those things are useless anyway.
Wide angle's not the best, but I've found a lot of useful is actually the 2x camera on my phone. The narrow FOV and being able to just obviously zoom in, it's really nice. At first, you get wowed by the ultra wide, but then the 2x is like, I use it a lot more.
So
Unfortunate because it's only on the Pro.
So what I will say I do like about this camera, it's only 12.2 megapixel, which great. It doesn't need to be any bigger. 1.4 micron, f 1.7 seems fine.
You guys are way behind the times. Have you guys ever heard of the Panasonic DCM C1? Said to be the greatest camera phone of all time. Yeah.
Doesn't
It's
look
pretty
very
cool.
good. Just
That
slap an LTE
just looks like a
modem
cheap
in
version of the Redmi phone, but actually functional.
So this phone
slap an
came
LTE
out
modem in a
in
DSLR. That'd be funny.
this thing came out in 2014, and
Oh,
when
Chris,
it
someone
came
put a
out,
phone in a DSLR.
What's that, Alex? Your opinions are more important.
Someone did actually put a phone in a DSLR.
Nice. I'm proud of them.
It was
this thing is a
China.
real
It's
like.
terrible.
I always wondered what would happen if somebody like made a real camera in a phone, and this is what happened, and it flopped.
Well, yeah,
It flopped
obviously.
hard.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Genuinely, Frick, what I think would be really cool for photography more than, phones, Nikon or Canon, just body and glass, etc., like actual honest to God DSLR digital camera, but with like a chip that is powerful enough to do some of the Android machine learning fanciness. So you get stuff like, say, Night Sight, but with real glass on it. And just have these really wonderful, amazing pictures because, I mean, DSLRs are, they're good, but they don't do that kind of computation.
It doesn't need to be a DSLR. Like, it could just be a mirrorless or SLR, I guess. Just like a decent bit of glass. And
No, DSLR is the ideal, but
That was basically the proposal for the red hydrogen.
Yeah, but that thing flopped, didn't it?
Oh, it flopped hard.
Yeah, I was going to say.
it's red. I don't have the money for that.
In fact, I think it flopped so hard. Like Mark Ash Brownlee, the guy who loves red cameras, was like, "This is a disgrace. Don't buy this."
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's pretty
Let's see
good.
if I can buy one on eBay right now. Hang on.
When it released, didn't it have like 2-generation old hardware except the camera?
Dude, you can
Yeah,
buy one right now for $200 on
When that-
eBay.
How much?
You can buy one on eBay right now for $220.
Well,
Open
see, but that was
box.
the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure the module that they wanted to add on to put like a decent glass on the camera lens and adding on a different sensor, it just never came out.
Dude, I'm buying this. For screw everything else. For $200? Absolutely, I'm buying
Please
this.
Please do and review it.
It's got a
Review it
Qualcomm
on the candy bar.
8998.
hi guys, this
The
isn't
red hydrogen candy corner. How would you bite into it? I don't know how you bite into a phone wrong.
I mean,
No,
it is running Android Oreo, so it wouldn't be too tough.
Wait,
It's got, dude, no, the specs on this thing for $200 are not bad. So it's got 5 points. I'll post them right here, and they're in the link. But it's got Android 835, 128 gig built in, Adreno 540. It's not bad.
It's not very good, but
It's
yeah.
running Oreo.
Oh, Oreo, that reminds me. Frick, you weren't here last week. Me and Chris were doing Oreo things, and your bowl thing is perfect. It works really well.
Oh, Frick,
I've got
have
some
you seen
pictures,
some
hang
of the
on.
cursed ways that I've been eating Oreos?
No, I haven't seen those.
Hang on, let me pull them up. Chris, do you want to talk about the NVIDIA thing? The C++ thing? I don't care. I think that was a Jack thing.
Okay, yeah, then we'll save that for when he comes
Yeah,
back.
we'll save that for Jack.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next article. Well,
Hang on. Before we do that, let's just have a brief pause. Hey, Frick, I eated a Oreo.
Oh yeah, go on. Holy Jesus! Wow.
That can be in the thumbnail.
Now what's going on here exactly is you've got the fork, and for those that can't see it, the man has sliced apart the Oreo, and he's used a stainless steel fork to scoop out the cream in it. And what's more disturbing is it looks like you've already gotten a chunk out of it from the other one, so you've eaten a bit of it already, and you're going in for seconds.
Frick! I
which
eated
is
an Oreo.
He made Oreos.
Why did you do this?
It seemed funny, and it made lots of people angry.
Oh, that whole one is Jesus Christ! How did you do the whole one?
What's
How
that?
did you do that?
What's that, Frick?
What did you do for the whole?
I'm not going to tell you because it's funnier that way. Frick, can you believe this? I asked for no sauce, and they put it on my Oreos anyway.
SMH.
I had to fix it myself.
All right, so
Wait, no.
Just make the thumbnail the Oreo
I
pictures.
took your advice on using a bowl of milk instead of a cup of milk, and
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
look at mine. Like, you can get the entire Oreo in the milk and not ruin your
My
fingers.
eyes. They've seen too much.
the fact that you're making Frick uncomfortable is you're doing God's work right now.
God,
Yeah,
that
honestly.
last one of like the cookie inside of the cookie is like, oh Lord, that's like front page of Make Me Suffer. That's what
See,
that is.
that's called extra dry Oreo.
Yeah. Oh,
I like my Oreos like I like my martinis dry.
oh God, Nevin.
Frick, or Chris, have you even had a martini?
No, and it's your fault for not hooking me up with one.
No, that's your fault for drinking an entire ass bottle of Riesling.
Well, maybe you should have cut me off, Dad, so I didn't get
So
hung
that
up.
was on your ass.
Oh, Simmons, you're an idiot. You made Chris start to smoke cigarettes.
No, I
I'm
did
gonna
not.
start smoking now. It's okay. I'm gonna die of the climate apocalypse before the lung cancer gets me. Plus, I'm getting that from working in organic labs anyway.
Yeah. So hey,
They're not good.
I'm going to take this opportunity to derail to talk about our Lord and Savior folding at home.
Shut up,
I don't
Simmons.
get it.
Nobody cares about your stupid religion.
Folding at home. So this is actually a collaboration between Folding at Home and Rosetta at Home. Apparently, there's been some collaboration between both developing groups.
Oh, this is an article. Oh, yeah, it's this one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. But apparently, they have been working on configuring or doing development to allow for running Folding at Home and Rosetta at Home work units on ARM processors.
Was it crunchy though?
It was crunchy. my Oreo was indeed crunchy.
So
We're gonna have to make Jack get these in the thumbnail.
So
otherwise.
the big selling point of this entire research to the folding enthusiast and the distributed compute enthusiast community is, hey, you can now run Folding at Home and Rosetta at Home distributed compute on Raspberry Pis. But one of the other things that they mention is running it on phones. Great, that's kind of useless in my opinion, but kind of neat regardless. More compute.
I don't know if you can use like old e-waste tier Android phones or something to do that.
No. I think that part of it's kind of interesting. But what part that they're not hitting on here is a lot of like server enthusiasts have been getting their hands on these older or decommissioned ARM-based servers, and all you need now is I don't know if this is going to be an add-on module for Linux or if this is going to be a customized Linux distro that they're talking about here. But in theory, if you just had a couple of these ARM-based servers lying around with idle cycles, you could burn your electricity on these old data center ARM servers and just crank out crap tons of work units simultaneously, which I find very entertaining.
I think it's worth noting, though, that if you do decide, like, wow, folding at home at ARM, I want to get involved in this. Don't
do they have an ARM
Raspberry Pis for this. You can't really do like cluster computing for folding at home, I don't think. And Serve the Home did a pretty extensive test on like a real ARM server and a Raspberry Pi cluster, and found that Yeah, the ARM server is about twice as energy efficient and spits out like 3 times as much performance for half the cost.
Oh my
Quite
god!
frankly, I'm not surprised at all. Just
Single board computers suck. Like, if you want performance, single board computers do not really scale, and definitely not for the price.
Well, so that's what ARM is kind of known for, right? Is the scaling ability?
Sure, but
Not really. ARM was known for being cheap, low power, and you can stick it in everything. It's
Yeah.
You should buy the ARM MacBook Pro so that you can fold on it.
Hey, there you go. No. I mean, that's the big thing. Is like the ARM processors that are on these Raspberry Pis are very, very efficient processors. They're not intended for wide scale compute. The fact that an enthusiast can get their hands on a bunch of Raspberry Pis for cheaper than they could get one of these high power ARM servers for usually, makes it more viable for them to do like a Pi cluster or something along those lines. Now,
Pi cluster is good for learning because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than a nut cluster, but you're really not going to do a whole lot on it. Like it should really be a purely educational thing. Now, if you're talking about actual compute, there are a lot of ARM server platforms that are like outperforming EPYC at half the power consumption, I think, just because ARM is ARM, and also usually these designs go wide but slow, which helps with power.
So actually, here we go. Here we go. This is an interesting metric here. So they did a bunch of testing with. They had a unified work unit that worked on both the ARM flavor of processor, and then they compared it to the exact same work unit on an i7. But on a Raspberry Pi 4, the sample work unit averaged around 272 seconds per compute. The Note 9.
i7 doesn't mean anything. That could be a 2600K. Or that could be a 10700K.
I am looking for the specific processor, but I'm not finding it in this article. Regardless,
it doesn't say because they're a bunch of dorks. But anyway,
sure. So anyway, Raspberry Pi 4 with SD storage, 272 seconds for compute. A Galaxy Note 9, 118 seconds per compute. A AMD Seattle ARM-based SoC, 166 seconds for compute, and then David Kim's Intel i7 desktop at work, 49 seconds. So, I mean,
hang on. AMD Seattle ARM. That was their ARM-based Opteron. I think they released that in 2014. It used stock standard Cortex cores. It was about 2 gigahertz. There were 8 cores. It was not very good. So this is definitely an old, whatchamacallit.
Sure.
That's actually hilarious, though, that the smartphone is outperforming a Raspberry Pi by that much. Like, Pis are just, they're not very good.
So, yeah.
They're really not very good.
It's interesting, and I think what this will actually lead to is not, sure, a lot of enthusiasts like who are really into this distributed compute stuff, rigging up Raspberry Pis and old phones.
I swear to God, don't buy Raspberry. Fine.
Shut up, Chris. I'm talking about people who are.
I want to get angry about things.
I know you do, but it's unvalidated anger in this situation.
No, it's not. People are buying the wrong thing.
But also like the whole thing that was mentioned about using like e-waste phones at this point for this kind of thing is kind of neat. So fun stuff.
Andrew, explain what that is.
That's Cheetos on a MacBook.
That's a
Why are Cheetos on the MacBook?
I don't know.
On the site that will not be spoken of, I posted a picture of my keyboard after not cleaning it for 6 or 7 years.
Oh,
and
you
it
mean
looked something like that.
.net?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that was your keyboard? Because I've seen that on Reddit.
Yeah.
Are you sure that was your keyboard, Frick? You do tell.
No, I know.
I saw it on Reddit after it was posted on that other website.
Wait. Post the picture, Frick.
If you just search, hang on, I'll find it. I'll find a thread. 1 second.
This will also go in the thumbnail. By
the search engine's broken anyway on the website that shall not be named.
No, you know we can name the website, right?
Yeah, but we shouldn't because it's dead.
Yeah,
I already named it.
But I'm going to go through this next one real quick. People are freaking out because Apple may not be hosting an event to announce the ARM-based MacBook until October.
Oh my God, it's almost like there's a pandemic or something. Okay, next article.
Yep, that's it. Chris, you want to talk
that's a good thing I bought mine now then, because I don't have an ARM one.
You should look at getting some ARMs. They're quite useful.
Yeah, I like ARM.
That was terrible. You ruined my IKEA joke earlier by saying I don't get it, and you just made a joke as bad as that.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I found the thread. Here we go.
Hey, Chris, do you know anything about this AMD Big Little thing?
AMD is doing Big Little.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
What am I looking at here?
first of all, to be clear, Big Little is specifically an ARM thing, much like hyperthreading is specifically an Intel thing. The more generic term is hybrid design. You have a high performance core that doesn't necessarily work well at low power, and you have a you have a lower performance core that doesn't really need to do much except keep the operating system running that does work at very low power. So it's like AMD's response to Lakefield, kind of, sort of.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's take a look. Underfox posted that processor cluster.
So basically, these are AMD patents that have been published.
Yeah, he doesn't indicate what the patent is. A patent that directly mentions the development of Big Little architecture. Patent is still in the process of being adjusted, and many patents are still missing to give due confirmation to the development of this new project. Referred patent, is it this one? Yeah, okay.
So basically,
AMD says in their abstract for this patent, a heterogeneous processor system includes the first processor implementing an instruction set architecture, ISA, including a set of ISA features. Heterogeneous processor system also includes the second processor implementing the ISA, including the set of ISA features configured to support a second subset of the ISA features. Oh my God, this is such lawyery text. Lower feature second processor. Okay, so that would imply a hybrid design. They are not using identical cores. High feature processor versus low feature processor. Okay, there we go. That's how AMD words it in their patent.
I'm a low feature processor.
Wow. Yeah. Nobody cares.
Well, that's not very nice.
Rude.
Sorry, that was rude. I agree.
Absolutely rude. So basically, it looks like it's just a model based on the current AMD architecture, where
it is the same idea as Big Little. That said, AMD has scaled Zen from very low power to very high power. They have made dual core systems on a chips, which go down to I want to say they can be configured to as low as 6 watts. They might go lower than that. And of course, they have big boy EPYC and Threadripper chips at stock go up to 280 watts. If overclocked, go well beyond that. That is an incredible range. Maybe actually not really, given the number of cores. Generally speaking, a given microarchitecture is good for about an order of magnitude of power targets. So 1 watt per core to 10 watts per core, or 2 watts to 20 watts, thereabouts. Now, the thing with AMD is much like Intel, where they have, Core, so Sandy Bridge, Ivy Bridge, Haswell, and so on, and they have Atom, Silvermont, Airmont, Goldmont, and so on. AMD also had their construction cores, Bulldozer, Piledriver, etc., but also their cat cores. They had Bobcat, which Alex had in a really crappy tablet. They had.
I still have much to do with that.
Yeah, they had Jaguar after that. That's in my desk PC upstairs. But after Jaguar, I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry, literally everybody. Literally every English speaker. They had Jaguar after that, and then they made Puma, which I believe is just a tweaked design. But after that, I don't think they made any new cat core. They just replaced everything with Zen. So I'm curious if this means that they're going to strip down Zen even further to make it lower power. It will cover 99% of what a CPU needs to do, and they can stick this on a much lower power core in a hybrid architecture. Or if it's just going to be hey, remember Puma? Well, we're bringing it back.
It's back in chip form.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely clear on what the goal is here, but also it's just a patent, so that doesn't indicate any research and development per se, or rather it indicates research. It doesn't really indicate development. So I don't know. I don't know. Luckily for AMD, much like with Ryzen finally implementing SMT after all these years, Intel laid a lot of groundwork for getting the scheduler to function in Windows with Lakefield, which even then is kind of clunky, even though they got like all of their engineers and Microsoft's engineers to work on it. Hell, they even had like Qualcomm as well, because Qualcomm's getting ARM on Windows. We'll see how it goes. I'm skeptical that AMD is actually going to do this, especially because like Lakefield right now is very, very, very niche and is not that widespread. Like, if I remember correctly, a few OEMs said, "Hey, Intel, make this chip for us," and Intel said, "Okay." They are making a successor to it. Some of their processor announcements this week did indicate a new hybrid architecture to come after it, but I'm really curious how it goes. Well, Tiger Lake or Alder Lake or whatever the next, I think the post-Rocket Lake desktop architecture is supposed to be a hybrid core, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's getting weird fast.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that there's a patent doesn't mean we'll see it anytime soon, but it's still neat.
I mean, just think about all of the Nvidia and AMD GPU patents, for example, that haven't happened. Incidentally, AMD still owes us an exascale APU. Lisa Su confirmed that there would be APUs with HBM on them, and she hasn't delivered, and it's been a while since she became CEO. I'm thinking about this now, and I'm getting upset and disappointed.
Oh, my leaks aren't wrong. AMD is wrong.
Well, she herself said this in an interview, so...
Is that binding? I wonder if that's a binding thing.
Not really.
No, it's all word of mouth.
That's like when a video game trailer goes up and it says like this footage is a work in progress.
This isn't
and then Aliens Colonial Marines happens.
But they don't even do game in progress anymore. They just show a cinematic trailer that's wrong.
Yeah.
And then release a game that doesn't look anything like that. Especially on mobile games. I hate them.
But anyway, unless we have anything else that we would like to add, I think we'll wrap up.
Hang on. One last thing. Intel apparently got a crossover with Disney to make the Avengers edition unlock CPUs. From the looks of it, it's exactly the same as like the unlocked i5, i7, i9, except the box has Marvel Avengers branding on it. It's very silly, dorky things. The only reason it's notable is that it made a lot of PC gamers very angry, and I live for that kind of thing.
That's pretty cringe, I won't lie.
I mean, it is cringe, but also, this doesn't affect me. It's a damn box. This is a cat toy.
Bring back Ruby. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Everyone else is beta.
Thank you all for listening to this episode. We will be doing an extra recording shortly after this. Stay tuned for next week in order to hear that. And thank you, and bye-bye.
It's not next week. I'm going to be drunk this entire week for next week's extras episode.
The entire week.
All right, say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.